today. What are you having?
Boring. Death before decaf, my motto in life. Yeah.
You've got some really cool cups.
I
I
try.
like that
I try.
one.
Yeah.
Death before decaf. I know. I just went with the classical blue today. I just have a blue
Fine.
one.
It's a good day for a
Um,
corporate read with that mug.
yes, it is. It's funny because I've started telling all of my family members, that's what you would get me is different, like interesting and different types of
For
coffee
sure.
mugs. That's really cool because we like to share our coffee mugs. So, well, hello everybody. It is great to be here. We were speaking yesterday about improvisation, and we were
Mhm.
going to talk today about getting the importance of improvisation and how that kind of goes between not just us getting better as actors, but also improvisation on emotion and improvisation on a variety of different things that can be very helpful.
Yeah.
So let's kind of start. Gabby, you were talking about yesterday something about you know the improv that you do as an actress. Talk to a little bit about how that you're seeing that and how it relates to voiceover.
Well, more and more and more, right? We're seeing the requests for the real people. Like I just did an audition. This isn't 20 minutes ago. That was for all the references were for influencers. And, these aren't actors, these are just people. And
Right.
so, like, they gave 4 or 5 references, and I listened to all these women. And fortunately, it was very consistent because sometimes it's not, and that can always be like, what do they want here? But these were very, very consistent sound styles. And, but the overwhelming feel with each of them was right. There's no script, there's no agenda. I'm just talking. And so when you really start to pay attention to what people do, you realize all of the sounds, the non-lexical, right, the words that they add, the little just human noise beyond speech that starts getting introduced into the performance. And I again, everything between the war on AI to
Hmm.
and that railing against, we don't want someone who sounds like an announcer. We want
Hmm.
somebody who sounds like a real person. That's where improv is king.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So I went to college and I got my degree in theater, and I got my master's in educational leadership, but I did a lot of professional work on stage for a while, and when I was younger, and I toured around the country and did things, and I spent a lot of time doing improv as not just a performance piece, but also you know honing your craft. Improv
Mhm.
is a great way to not just feel more comfortable in a lot of ways. It does. It helps you get more comfortable performing. It also helps you, I think, to get in touch with a variety, just what you were talking about, getting in touch with a variety of different things, not just coming up with a random word to say, but
Mhm.
also about exploring emotions that come about and being
And
able
how
to,
people express those
right.
emotions. That's what's so, I think, cool about improv, right? It really forces
Yes.
us to explore how other people, um, yeah, just
Yeah,
express themselves.
and what we've been talking about for a couple of sessions that Gabby and I have done has been taking risks with your coach. And I think, yesterday how we got on improv, right, was trying to figure out, well, what is a risk, or
Mm,
what can we take? I want to take more risks, but I really don't know what that looks like.
mhm,
How do and that then goes deeper. That's us growing as performers. So improvisation is one of the tools that we use in order to push ourselves beyond our comfort zone and try these things as they come about, putting them out there. You might try, like, so everybody can probably relate to this. You might be in a session with a group of people if you're getting coaching, or you might have done some things, maybe you're in a meeting, like at your job, and someone does a funny voice, or just in front of everybody, or someone does, like, a character voice of something, and everybody have it. You might cringe a little, it might be a little silly, or you might think, but you might be like, oh wow, they did actually really good. That was kind of cool if they put themselves out there and did that voice. Sorry, my dogs are barking too. But the thing is that that gives us an opportunity to try new things, to put ourselves out there, because not only do you need to be able to put yourself, I'm sorry, I don't know what is going on over there.
Hey, we said it from day one, right? With life is lifing.
There must be
The
someone delivering
dogs
some.
are doing
Oh,
their thing.
oh, you know what I ordered some stuff for Mother's Day.
Why'd you do
My
that?
wife's at work. She's
Why'd
not
you do that?
watching this. So, huh?
Why'd you do that? That's
What
so
do you
silly. Because
No,
you
I
knew the
did.
dogs were gonna bark.
I guess but I didn't even think that they would come right now in the middle of our
Of
session.
course they do.
Right? I mean,
Murphy's
it's
Law, man.
inconsiderate of the delivery people.
It's
No.
fine.
But but what I was saying is that that gives you the ability. It brings about a way for you to say, okay, I'm going to feel uncomfortable and try something, and the mode in which you do that is through
Mm,
improvisation,
mhm.
because there's no other way to randomly try something you've never tried before. All right, you have to that's how that's it. And you think about it, we improv every here's the funny thing. People are I'm bad at improv, it makes me nervous. Our whole life
We improv life.
is improv. From the moment we went, I mean, unless everybody's walking around with a script that I've been fooled my whole life. Like, it's the biggest joke on Anthony Pica that's ever been made. He doesn't know we have a script. Unless that's been pulled off, we improv from the moment we get up until the moment we go to sleep. And a lot of us
That's so
don't
funny.
make the connection because that's how we've lived our whole life.
Mhm, mhm.
But again, I always, make the joke about the mile of crap between your mouth and the microphone. But that happens when our minds get into a position of we're like, now I have to perform. So now
Mm,
improv is something more. It's a
right.
performance instead of what I naturally do. And it's just that's why I love these sessions and talking about this, because it makes connections. And how that happens is a lot of the improv that we do is real.
Yeah.
It's real. What you just said about emotion, how do we show that emotion in a real way? Because people don't want it canned. We
Right.
don't want it faked. We don't, we want sincerity. We want believability. And I always say, remember, drama is heightened life. So always remember, do you ever remember those? What was it?
Mm.
What was that? I can't remember. Was it NBC or Fox? I can't remember. They ran those series of commercials where it was like, "What is drama?" And then they had all these things. I wish I could. I guess I'll learn
Oh,
how
I
to show
do
clips.
remember that promo. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they would do this thing where well, they had like Whoopi, they had occasionally had all these different actors on it, but then they also did these things where, oh, it was TNT. They also did these things where they would do this like they would show this street circle, and people were just walking around doing normal thing, and then this like van would speed up and stop, and they would open up, and these like guys would run out, right? And then there would be like some guy, and they'd knock him out, and then the ambulance would come on in a stretcher, and they put him on a stretcher, and then like these other guys would come. There'd be like this firefight, this scene going on where people are shooting each other, and like things are explosions are going on, and they all drive away, and everyone's just sitting around looking like, what in the world did they just witness, right? And then like this banner would come down, like, what is drama? It's height and life.
It's okay because anybody who just came in at this point is like, "What are they talking about? What is going on?"
What is
Um,
going on?
but,
But
but it's funny. So, there's so much that you said that I kinda wanna unpack here. So, okay, I'm a horror movie fan, and I was just watching Smile 2, right?
hmm,
And the first one was decent. The second one, I don't know. There's some elements to the formula, with a lot of horror movies that I'm like, eh. But I will say the lead actress in Smile 2, wow. This woman acted the hell out of this role. I was thoroughly, thoroughly impressed because it's rare anymore to have a horror movie center on one actress. The whole story, there's so much of the
mhm.
slasher stuff where people are just, it's like a constant cast. And hold on, I'm gonna look her up because I can't remember her name right now, but she's very well known. Um,
I don't know Smiles.
Naomi
I don't.
Scott.
Okay.
Naomi
Oh
Scott.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
she, I mean, seriously acted the hell out of this thing. But there is also that moment that I think somewhere at some point in the movie you're watching this and you're going, not only the improbability, right? But just how intense this one emotion, this idea of terror, right, gets thread throughout the piece. Yeah, it kind of does make you, at some point, I feel like the veil gets lifted a little bit because even the audience becomes aware of, all right, this has been going on for too long. This is not realistic.
Right.
We don't sustain emotions like that.
Right.
Um, but, but at the same time, it just, I don't know. It really, uh, I had to wonder about her process for that
Mm,
film
mm.
because there did seem to also be a lot of improv moments and lines and scenes that I felt like went off book and the director decided to keep because they were so believable.
Oh, absolutely. Well, so one of the things that we know is in acting and that you're taught, right, is acting is reacting.
Mm,
Okay. So for us as voice actors, you might say, okay, well, if acting is reacting, I'm by myself in a booth, right, in a closet.
mhm.
What am I reacting to?
Right.
Like
Right.
how do I react to something to create something real? Well, this is where improvisation also plays a part. Sometimes you got to think improvisation is also part of creativity. So
Mhm.
we have to build that in our minds. So I say voice acting is a really special form of acting because the majority of it lives within our minds, right? We are creating, we are improving the scene, we're improving what we see, we're improving all of it. And
We're also improving other performers that we're
mhm,
interacting with. I'm like, hey, the greatest preparation in life that I ever received for voice acting was being a kid with imaginary friends.
mm,
Because man, oh man, you really are. You're creating a cast of characters in your head and
mhm,
in your mind.
mhm,
Um, and it's funny because you're right. That whole who are we reacting to? It's what you build. And
mhm,
it's amazing. I try to get my students to understand all the time, there's no monologue in voiceover. There's
mhm.
none. We're always in a scene. We're always dialoguing with someone else.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that also pushes us to, think about I remember early on when I was teaching acting, a lot of my actors or when I was teaching acting for the stage, a lot of them were very nervous to get up in front of people because of what exactly we're talking about here. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to make a fool of myself.
Mhm.
And even though we're not in front of people in voiceover, I think we all still feel the same way to an extent. We don't want to make a fool of ourselves. We want to do a great job. All right. But you have to give yourself permission to play. And we don't, as adults, for some reason, gosh, and you, as an educator in school, if you've ever taught in schools, it's actually extremely sad to see the change between young children in elementary school, and as they go up the grades. And we do this. I mean, we do it.
It sucks.
It's not unintentional,
No.
but it's sad to see that imagination and that play is like, okay, playtime is over. Now we have to do this. You have to do this. Stop playing. Stop playing.
Go be
And
an adult.
and now when you're an adult, we are so used to, this is not playtime, this is not freedom to
Mhm.
explore and to improvise and to play, have imaginary friend, all these things, right? When you're an adult, we think you're crazy. All right, but here's the thing: for what we do, you have to give yourself permission to play, give yourself permission to be silly or stupid
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
dumb if you want. You have to. And I would always tell my actors, and I tell my students too, I give you permission, give you permission to play, have, like, you have my complete support, and going a little kooky, going a little off the wall, trying
Mhm.
things that you were told once you shouldn't do because you need to grow up.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
here's the thing, everybody listen, don't forget, ever forget, people pay us to do this. They pay us to do the things they can't do or they don't know how to do. So if we're not going to do that, we might not be getting paid as much as we would. It's an interesting idea to think about.
It's well, it's again, it's that risk. Okay, so going back to that horror movie, going back to Smile 2. So I've noticed another trend that's taking place in the horror movie genre, and I don't know how people feel about this. I have my own personal thoughts about it, but whatever. That right, everybody's always looking to push the boundary. And so I've noticed something probably in the last 5 years. The gross factor has changed. The gross factor has changed from like blood and gore and right the things we normally think of to something really fascinating, which is that now in horror movies when an actor cries, there's an awful lot of snot and mucus. And I know, right, it's disgusting, right? It just sounds like
The
off-putting,
fluids.
but yeah, the fluids. But you think about this and you see it on screen and you go, yeah, this makes perfect sense because most people, when they cry, are
Right.
blubbering, snotty,
Right.
right? Ugly criers, and everything, they get congested and they start running, right? All these things happen because we can't control it. That's our
Right.
body's normal reaction. And then you go and you watch horror movies where there's just the one tear,
Right. Right. Right.
and it's so beautiful and it's just so poetic. And it's like, no, that's not what happens. So now, so you think about these beautiful actors, right? These gorgeous people who are taking these risks and doing things like that, but nobody's holding it against them. Nobody's like, remember
Sure.
in that movie when you were all snotty and snot dripping down your face? It was really gross. Like, no, we commend them.
Oh,
We
absolutely.
go,
And I
what a risk taker. How
oh
amazing
yeah.
was that,
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. And here's another thing too that I think can help people and now you go on for all this, but um, don't also be a practitioner of what we do. Learn about these things. Like Gabby was
Mhm.
just talking about, these movies and her studying them and the interest and the change of them. This is important. If you go back in history, right? We go and look at the growth of acting in general, right? From commedia dell'arte, doing very specific, the movements and the emotion, the things where it was uh, uh, very staged,
Yes.
right?
Deliberate.
And
Mhm.
and we went from presentational to representational, and then when Stanislavski comes around and we start getting these coaches that are looking to bring more of an internal, how does external forces affect our internal emotions and
Mhm.
feelings, and
Mhm.
then exploring that as an individual, how would we react to it, these changes, and us learning about these changes also I think brings you a sense of freedom. The more you know about something, the less you're worried about giving it a try.
Mhm.
And it could be as simple as enjoying horror movies and seeing the
Mhm.
change in it. But you're right. So to me, when you say that stuff, it makes me think you're right. It's more real, right? That's more
Yeah.
real. It's not as
It's the
staged.
evolution. There
Right.
is an evolution to acting. Like if your frame of reference, sometimes I know this happens, I'm sure it does for you too, right? Sometimes I'll get a student that maybe is a bit older and their influence or their frame of reference for a great performance might be something that's 20, 25 years old. And I'm like,
Right.
hey, don't get me wrong, it's a classic. I respect it, but it's not modern. It's not
Absolutely.
that type of performance is not going to move audiences today. We've evolved past it. And so, you think about like, I mean, a movie like Gone with the Wind that is still, right, so used in film schools and in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, d- um, college courses on acting. But if someone, you know, gave that performance today, oh my God, we would be like, what is
Right.
going on here? Why is this is so over dramatized? It's almost a farce,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
So,
absolutely too. I think
yeah.
so. Well, we've come to our time today, and I think with what we were just
Holy
talking
cow,
about
we
there,
did.
it would probably be a really cool thing. We could. I was just thinking about tomorrow's topic. Probably could be something to talk about these different performative styles
Mm.
that are relevant today. Because it's funny just talking about that real briefly. Is that people say, well, the
Oh, yeah.
announcer style is not dead. People still get hired for that,
You're
right?
right, you're right. I
Um,
mean, yeah,
but
there are some
knowing
different ways
knowing
to look
them,
at this, yeah.
right? Knowing them and knowing where they play a part and understanding that it's the exception, not the rule, and which one is which could
Mhm.
help you, I think, help all of us,
Yeah,
be prepared in certain situations. So,
definitely.
well, thank you everybody for watching today. Really had a blast. Where we got into some heavy duty
I
acting stuff there. I love
I
it.
love it.
You guys have a wonderful Thursday. We will see you all tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Goodbye.